This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today for the first time in a very long time to be joined by Brad Ray. Brad, it's good to see you. Like I said, it's long overdue this little catch up here. But how is everything? We all good?
Yeah, all good, mate. Cracking on, cracking on. Like I say, I've been under the radar for a little bit, but no, mate, we're back now, and hoping to get back in some big fights very soon. Fingers crossed.
Well, it's been a while now since we've seen you on the Sky platform. And the last fight we saw you was the Tyler Denny fight. Since then, you've been racking up the wins, getting yourself back in the ring on the small hall scene. Um, we've had a little brief chat off camera about the future for yourself and what weight class you're going to be fighting at. Can you just provide an update for the people on what the future holds?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna be boxing at light heavyweight from now on. Like we've just said, obviously I had a bit of time out with an injury after the Denny fight. Moved gyms. I've like relocated to down near the new gym and had a few kind of fights on the small hall circuit. On my manager's shows and VIP shows, kind of just adjusting to my new team and my new coach and stuff. But we're hoping to get him back in big fights by this point. But unfortunately, nothing's come of it. And so I've just been kind of had a few more fights than would have been ideal, but just want to stay busy. I want to stay active, and I don't want to be going stale. I had a bit of time off with injury, as I said, and I think activity is very very important for me at this point. But yeah, I've had a few fights at super middle at first, and then was matched at light heavy, boxed at light heavy twice, and I feel good. I feel comfortable at it. I feel like I'm fueled up during training well. I can get a good amount of food in me. I'm always hydrated, and I won't be doing big massive cuts to make weight. Which is something I think I've come to realize. It's a bit of a myth. In the boxing game, in the combat sport game, the advantage that you get from it. I think it's took me a while to realize that, but I think the penny's finally dropped, and you know, I'm I'm happy training at the moment and I feel good, and I think this is the weight for me going forward.
You mentioned that adjustment, new team, obviously having to relocate. Do you feel you're now out of that adjustment phase and taking the fights to get used to this new style and the new coaching team? You're now in that keep busy, and then when the phone rings for a big opportunity, I think recently we've seen a prime example of keeping yourself ready for a big opportunity in Ishmael Davis last weekend at Wembley. Is that what you're in now? Just keeping yourself busy, and then when that phone rings for a big fight, you know that you're ready to take it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think at first, I think it was the right decision to want to have one or two, free fights kind of away from the spotlight on a smaller platform. I think it was the right decision, and that was what I wanted to do as well as my team. But now, I feel like I'm at the point where I want to be let off the leash kind of thing, and as you say there, that's one massive difference for me since the move in gym. It's I don't have to get ready anymore. I'm staying ready all the time. After a fight, I'll have a week off, bit of downtime, nice bit of rest, and I'm straight back in the gym, and I'm good to go. And I want to be ready if these last minute calls come, if these pull outs or dropouts or whatever, and something comes up. I want to be ready for that. I don't want to be kind of caught with my pants down, going like, oh yeah, I'll just take the fight because nothing else is coming up, but I'm not really ready. I want people saying that, afterwards, if someone took the fight with me late notice, they've made a wrong decision, and that's what I want. If the phone rings 2 3 weeks notice, let's go. And it's something that beforehand, I probably could have never done. On the one hand, for the weight, because I was walking around massive at the weight, and on the other hand because I like to feed bears and burgers and that after my fights. But I've reined it all in now, and hopefully, if the phone rings, I'll be good to go.
Well, I'm sure moving to light heavyweight will allow you to at least enjoy a few burgers and beers after your fights anyway. But looking at that light heavyweight scene domestically, it's a really interesting time in that division. There's lots of big fights out there. You know, we saw Joshua Waxy versus Willie Hutchinson last week at the very top of the division. But the whole way through, it's a very interesting scene domestically, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many good fights, and I'm kind of in the middle. You know, you've got the kind of established fighters who've been about and you've been in the mixes. You've got your Dan Aziz and Lyndon Arthur them lot, and then you've got kind of the up and coming your Whitakers and Ezra Taylor and them lot like coming up. I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I could get the call each way, you know what I mean? And like there's so many good fights there. There's so many good fights there, and that's one thing, you know, is I wasn't like, oh, you know, like heavyweight, you know, it's a tough division, and you know it might be easier staying at super middle to some easier fights, and you know I'll just cut the weight. Like it was that never kind of come into my mind. You know, I feel good at this weight, and I feel like this is the weight I need to compete at, and it doesn't matter who's about or who I'm competing with.
What names in that division really take your fancy, ones that seem realistic to make at this current moment?
Um, and to be honest, mate, no fight feels realistic at the moment. But I've been calling for a big fight for ages, and I just don't seem to be getting anywhere. Um, but like I don't know, man. Hopefully something's gonna come up soon. But I'm just at the point. I was hoping, you know, I would kind of get after a bit of time off, and you know, a few fights at a level and well above on the small all shows. I was gonna get kind of a natural, gradual progression. You know, a little bit better and a little bit better, but it's just not the way the game works, unfortunately. You know what I mean? I don't have any pull, I've got no backing in that, and like I'm just gonna have to take whatever comes my way. But for me, it's just getting in a position where I'm confident to take any fight that comes my way, and you know that's what we're trying to do at the moment.
How frustrating has this period been of being injury free, fighting on the small hall scene, and just waiting to get that big fight? How frustrating has that whole thing been?
Yeah, it is frustrating. It's tough, but you know there's hundreds of other kids all in the same boat as me. You know what I mean? And like it's at the end of the day, you know, it's down to me. If I never lost a Denny fight, I won't be in this position. Um, but yeah, it is frustrating because I feel like I've gone on to the small law circuit. I've done, you know, I've had 5 fights. The first fight, you know, my first one back over over a year. I had the kid over twice. Went the distance, and my next 4 fights, you know, I've had 4 stoppages. I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything after me, and you know, I feel like I deserve something. You know what I mean? I've been working, and I feel like people are gonna kind of sit up and take notice just when I get that chance, and they're gonna go, you know, where's he been? You know what I mean? What's he been up to? He's improved, he's changed, and you know, I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. But I just need to get my foot in the door.
Well, obviously, you mentioned the Tyler Denny defeat. We all know on this big rise that he's been on since that night. And in the build-up to his fight with Hamza Sheeraz, your name did get mentioned a few times by him in saying that you and Hamza, you're very similar in terms of middleweights. Obviously, at the time you're a middleweight. I don't think you'll ever see middleweight again at this rate. Um,
No chance.
but looking at Tyler's rise now, while last Saturday wasn't his night, you know, you've shown that you can still come back and you've racked up 5 decent wins on the way, and you are waiting to get a big opportunity. For someone like Tyler, he's been in this position before, hasn't he? Where, okay, while he might have been defeated last weekend, it was on the biggest stage, and he's someone who's come from that small hall scene. So there's still a bright future ahead for him, for someone like Tyler, then, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. And it just gives hope to it. It gives hope to like someone in my position, or you know, I think Tyler Denny is the prime example of why you shouldn't be scared to take, you know, them 50-50 fights earlier on in your career. Um, but then I'm probably the prime example of why not. You know what I mean? You know, for me, it was always, you know, you don't want to lose, but you shouldn't be scared to take them fights where the possibility of losing is happening. But the way the boxing game is, you know, one loss and it you know it's a big hit. how the fans look at you, how the promoters look at you, and it is tough to come back from. But looking at fighters like Tyler and some of my favorite fighters are fighters who've lost early on. Like Maxi Hughes is a like great shout for it. Lost a few fights early on, went on to do big things. So it's not the end of the world, but it is. It's a long road back. But like them kind of fighters give me hope that I can bounce back definitely.
Before I ask for your thoughts on what we saw last Saturday in the main event at Wembley, there's one fight in the light heavyweight division. Well, a couple fights, but there's one in particular. It's more around the domestic scene. It's on the Adam Azim versus Hara Davis undercard of a fight that I don't think many boxing fans would have put these two names together. We've seen Dan Aziz and we've seen what he's done. He had his fight of the year contender with Josh Hart. He takes on Louis Edmondson, who for a long time has been linked with Ben Whittaker to face him in an undefeated versus undefeated fight. But instead, Dan Aziz and Louis Edmondson will be facing each other. A bit of a crossroads fight, in my opinion. What do you make of that fight?
Yeah, I think it's a great fight. Yeah, I think again, it's as I was saying before. You've got one from the group above the established won titles, and Edmondson, I think, is 9 or 10-0 and kind of coming up trying to make a name for himself. Edmondson will know if he wins, it'll propel him up. And Aziz knows that if he loses, he's probably looking at the end of the road, losing against a fighter like that, or coming to the end of the road. But yeah, it's a great fight. It's a very good fight. And when I seen that, I thought, yeah, it's a good matchup. It's a good matchup, definitely.
And then, would you like to potentially target the winner of that fight if
Sure, mate. I'll get in. Yeah, for sure, mate. They're the types of names I want to get in the mix with. Both very good fighters. But that's the type of level, that's the type of competition I want to be competing with. So yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
Do you still have a deal with Sky and Boxer, or at the moment you're a promotional free agent?
As push foot nose. I don't know, mate. I've been told that I was getting on a show and my manager had chats with them, but they have said that if nothing's available, I am free to box elsewhere. But hopefully my next show is going to be on a Sky and on a Boxer show. But I've just got to kind of go with the flow and see what comes up, I guess.
Fair enough. And then just moving away from the talk about yourself, Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois topped the bill last week. I think everywhere you've looked this week, you've probably seen something about it. It's all boxing fans are still trying to take it all in and what we saw at Wembley. From what you saw as that fight was unfolding, what was going through your mind?
I just think Dubois stuck it on him early, landed early, and he just didn't give him a chance to recover at all, even up until the point. I think AJ only recovered the round he got stopped in, and he started coming back a little bit, started putting him on the back foot, but just got a little bit greedy. I think Dubois hit him hard early on, let him know his power, and I just don't think he gave AJ the chance to recover at all. He looked hazy for the second, third round going onwards, and it was a great performance from Dubois. To be fair, he's looked good. He's had a good few wins, the Miller win and then the Hrgovic win, but I didn't have him down. Didn't have him down for doing that to Joshua. No way. And he's proved me wrong. He's proved a lot of other people wrong for sure.
Before we focus on what could be next for Daniel Dubois, it's only right to talk about a great in British boxing like Anthony Joshua. A lot of talks and a lot of fans are saying this could be the end of the road for him. Him and Matchroom are adamant they'll fight on and they'll start that road to try and become a three-time world champion again. What would you like to see Anthony Joshua do next?
It's a tough one because I think I know the heavyweight's gone a little bit longer, but he is getting no younger. I think the only option is for him is to do Dubois rematch and go from there. If he can beat Dubois in the rematch, then he is back in the mix. But apart from that, it'll be a long road to kind of rebuild. But he's done great things for British boxing, AJ, and he's kind of opened the door to that casual fan base a little bit, and he gets a lot of stick. He gets a lot of stick for what he's done, and I think it just kind of goes to show, You know how some of these boxing fans are. Best thing since sliced bread into the top of the world, AJ, and then he gets takes a loss, and he's got no chin. He's a shit bag, and he needs to retire. It's just it's just the way some of the fans are, unfortunately.
And then looking at Daniel Dubois, it's almost like the world's his oyster at this point. There's a lot of options for him now. A lot of talking to build up fans, and a lot of notable names in boxing were saying that they couldn't recognize him as a world champion because he got that title through Usyk, what's the word, vacating the title. That's it,
Yeah,
and getting elevated. But all those doubts were put to rest when Anthony Joshua was, I guess you could say, dominated by Dubois last week. And a lot of people see him as the world. Well, you don't really get a choice if you see him as a world champion now. It's the fact he's the world champion. Um, Out of all those fights out there for him, which one do you really look at the names that are out there and just think, yeah, that is a great fight next for Daniel Dubois?
I think I think the Parker fight's a great fight for him. I think Zhang's a good fight. Um, Maybe like Wilder might be a great name for it. I think he beats Wilder. I think Wilder's on a heavy decline, and I think that'd be a great name for him to beat. Kind of keep himself busy until we see how the Usyk Fury rematch goes, and then look at getting in the mix with them. Um, but there's that kind of top 10 in the BAKOLE is a great fight. I always forget BAKOLE. He's a great fight for anyone in that division, but nobody really wants anything to do with him, and I don't blame him at all. I don't blame him. I think Dubai and BAKOLE could be a very interesting matchup, a very interesting fight. Well, I'm not sure how that'd go. That'd be a tough one to call.
Oh, see, I was about to ask you if you had to side with someone for Dubois versus BAKOLE, who would it be?
You know what? I might go BAKOLE.
Really?
Yeah, I actually might. I think he's just so big, isn't he? And like, I know Dubai's a big lad, but I couldn't see. I don't know. I couldn't see McCauley going down from shots like AJ was the other day, and it would be interesting to see what happened if Dubois hits him with his best shot, and he's still there. He's still pushing him back. But yeah, that's a tasty one. I think that's my pick. Forget Parker and them. Like that's my pick. The McCauley fight. I think.
I think a lot of people agree with you. Speaking to people this week, a lot of people want to see BAKOLE versus Dubois. One final fight I want to get your thoughts on back in your division. We've seen the press conference for it this week in London. Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol. A fight of the year. It's a fight that I think you only get once every 100 years when you see two such dominant reigning champions meet in a fight like this. One that the fans can't split. But if you had to side with someone, Beterbiev or Bivol, who'd you go for?
I'm going Beterbiev. I think. Yeah, I'm so excited for this one. But Bivol's great on his feet. He's great, maintaining his range and in and out. But he's just 12 rounds is a long time for a fighter like Beterbiev just to be on you, at you. And I think he's maybe just a little bit too big, too strong for Bivol to keep him off for the 12. But yeah, I can't wait for that one. I don't think I've looked forward to a fight like that in ages. And it's in Saudi, innit? So we don't have to get up in the middle of the night, which is mint. Buzzing with that.
Do you believe Beterbiev stops him, or do you believe it's a points job?
Yeah, I think he might stop him. I think he'll catch him. I do think he'll catch him and he'll hurt him. And I think if Beterbiev's got you going, you're going. I just think the last few times I've watched Bivol, he's copped the odd one here, the odd one there, and you can't afford to do that against a fighter like Beterbiev. And I think he'll catch him at some point, and I think he'll put his foot on the gas and get him out of there. Yeah.
Well, Brad, thank you very much for your time. Good to catch up with you today. And hopefully we see some big fight news for yourself soon. Cheers.
Nice one, mate. Fingers crossed.